I am so excited to teach you how to draw flat garment sketches with the fashion design book. This book is the ultimate tool for fashion designers and home sewists. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a super easy trick to get your manual sketch symmetrical. We'll be utilizing tracing paper and pencil for this. So there are two methods in using the book. The first method is a copy method, where we literally copy the page and the design aesthetic or detail that we want and mix and match those different sketches together. So this copy method is taking tracing paper directly over the sketches and we're drawing and mixing and matching. I recommend that those who are beginners use this method. And even though it might feel like you're not really learning how to draw on your own, you're learning the proportions and you're learning how to draw those design details by looking at those sketches. It's actually an excellent way to learn how to draw. If you're more advanced, you might not need to use this copy method. That's where the second method comes in. The second method is when you're only referencing the book to get that inspiration, and then you're looking at it to draw your own sketch. Now, in this method, you can still use a croaky. Croquis are used throughout the entire fashion industry to speed up the process and to get those proportions to look good. So even if you're using method number 2, I recommend that you still trace a croquis and then draw utilizing the reference of the book. So let's go through both of those options now. Let me go through this first method with you now and show you the copy method. All right, we are going to make a flat sketch using the fashion design book. So for both methods, we are going to start by tracing our main croquis. If you have customized your croquis, which comes in later videos in the book, you can also use that, especially if you're more advanced and using the referencing method. Regardless, we're going to go ahead and trace that croquis. I've marked a center line down my croquis, and I've folded this in half to show the two methods. I'm going to first do the tracing method on this side, and I'm going to fold it in half again just to show you that. We're going to just draw a top, and you're going to design your own top. This is my center front line, and I'm going to line that up with my center line on my croquis. And it's really good practice the first few times you do this to trace the entire croquis. However, we're going to be erasing a lot of the croquis. So as you get more advanced, more than likely you're going to want to just trace a couple small lines, like at the waist, the hip, small lines like that as you get more advanced. But as you're a beginner and just starting to use the book, it's good practice to get that form down. And even though you're tracing, you're still getting those motor skills and proportions right by tracing. And after a few times, it's going to become much more natural for you to understand that proportion without tracing. You can see the shapes of the body as you trace those lines. We're only going to be tracing half of the body, so not the entire other side. We're just going to do half. And I'm not going to be doing the full undergarments. I'm just going to do the under bust line a little bit, slight bit of the armhole line, up to the rise line, and I also did my underwear line as well, just so I can see that. So that's my traced croquis. If I was more advanced, I would just be doing small little tick lines. But let's go ahead and start designing. So I have so many different silhouettes to design. I'm going to start with the tops. And when we're looking at the top images here, we have to overlook a lot of the style details because yes, these are already styled, but it's really styled in order to show you how to draw certain design details. And you might like some things on one, you might like other things on another. You're going to mix and match those things, or you could ignore the style details and just look at those silhouettes. Just see it. Do I like those silhouettes, the outside lines? Is that something that speaks to me as a designer? You can mix and match, take what you want from some. We're going to go here with the basic silhouettes for tops. And for the tracing method, I'm going to place my croaky on top of the tops here. These main tops really go to the armhole position here. And I'm going to choose my A-line fit. I'm going to line it up more or less with the center of the sketch, and I'm going to be tracing it from the armhole down. Now, of course, if I wanted a different length, I could always move that sketch down or up, however long or short I want it to be. But now I can see I've drawn my top silhouette with the A-line shape. Now we're going to choose a sleeve or a neckline, whichever way you want to design. I'm going to look through those sleeves and choose one of them. I think I'm going to go actually with a dolman sleeve, which has no armhole. So I'm going to line that up, the neckline of the sleeve and the actual hand of the arm. So we're lining the croaky to the book, and we're going to go ahead and trace it. Now, I don't have to use this neckline that's here. I can choose any of the necklines that I want. I've now traced that sleeve in, and we can see that croaky underneath, which means we are going to have to erase that when we're further along if we want, or we could erase it now. And I think I might go ahead and erase it now so you can get a better visual here. Erasing those lines, it's not so much fun, and that's one of the reasons why as you get more advanced, you're just going to do little tick marks like that, so you have to erase less. And since I'm not going to do the skirt right now, I'm going to go ahead and erase the leg. But I do recommend just getting that proportion. The first few times you do it, draw that croaky in, get it in, get that practice. Now I need to pick my neckline. And of course, we don't have to use what's in the book. If you have something that you envision and you've designed and you really think it looks good and it's not here, find something that's similar and go from that. So I really like this funnel neckline. I'm going to align it close to the top of my body that I've drawn, and I'm going to let it stand away from the body a little bit. We're going to only draw in half to the halfway line. As a pattern maker, I know that this is a really big pattern piece because we have no armhole seam. I'm going to design an extra seam so that this pattern piece isn't too big to fit on the width of the fabric. So I'm going to add a little seam close to that shoulder area. And that's going to be a seam that wraps just slightly to the front a little bit. And that way I am sure that it's going to fit nicely. And we could definitely add other design lines in here if we wanted to. That's up to you as the designer. Now we need to make it symmetrical and do the other side. So we're going to fold it in half. And this is where the tracing paper is amazing because you can see through the other side. So if you are doing this for a professional portfolio, you're going to want to use your French curve to get those straight or curved where you need them. And it does take a lot of practice with those curved rulers. So then we have the entire garment drawn out. I'm going to go ahead and erase that hand there so that I can really just look at the garment, the flat garment sketch. That is my sketch. If I was really using this for a portfolio, I'd really want to make sure those lines are nice and symmetrical between each side. And I would then go ahead and make a photocopy of this with regular paper, or sketch it again with regular paper and go through with a marker then. The nice thing about photocopies are that you can make them bigger or smaller to make them fit in your sketchbooks or in your portfolios. Let's go into that second method now. So this is my customized croaky. I'm going to mark her down the center, and I'm going to trace 1/2. Even if you are advanced, you haven't done this method much, you could for sure trace that whole half, but I'm just going to do small little bits here. I'm going to get more of that arm in there because I'm probably going to be doing a short sleeve. If you know that you're doing a short sleeve or a long sleeve, you don't have to draw that full arm in there, especially if you don't want the body shape in there. Okay, I'm also going to draw my underwear line. You could also draw maybe the belly button area, the collarbone. So that's a little bit more advanced. You can see I've just done a few tick marks there. Now, of course, you could do this method as you get a little bit more advanced, even with the tracing method. The referencing method means that we're not taking the physical sketch and tracing, but we are going to be using the book to reference for style details and how to draw certain things. So let's do something a little bit more complex here. We're going to choose one of the tops from here. And as you go through this process, if you're a beginner sketcher, you might choose to just draw this exactly as it is, referencing it, to start understanding how that works. Or you could maybe take this top here and mix it with one of the sleeves or the necklines and really design something new. That's up to you, how you want to practice. So let's go ahead and reference this sketch here. And we're going to see, okay, how long do I want it to be? Usually my jeans or my pants are going to be between the belly button and the underwear line here. It will be right about there. So I want to make sure I cover that. I'm going to go with my underwear line as the length. And I'm going to see how is this drawn. And we're going to just reference it kind of step by step. And since this is asymmetrical, we're going to start from one side and we're going to pick up the other side later on, but I do want to get that center pretty close to the center here. We're going to go ahead and just follow step by step, looking at that silhouette and referencing it in comparison to how we want it to look. We can see some areas we can always change where we want it to drape or hang. It doesn't have to be exactly as it is in the book. So when we're doing folds on the sides, we really want to see those folds in a nice way. And then we have our center line here. That's a seam. I'm going to go ahead and erase some of these tick lines from my croaky. And I'm going to keep that armhole marked. I'm going to go ahead and switch up the sleeve here and the neckline. So let's go and look at those sleeves again. What is a nice sleeve that could go with this? I could go something with a puff. Might be too much though. Actually, I even like that kind of a puff for the upper portion. That's a little bit too feminine looking. I could just go with A-line too. And that's the great thing about sketching is if you start sketching it and you're like, oh, it doesn't go together well, then you can always change it. So I'm just referencing this and how it looks. And it doesn't even have to be as full as that. You can really change it however you want it to be. And then I think I want some sort of a V-neck here. So we'll look at the necklines. And of course I can always change the position of that neckline or the shape. So I think I like this sort of V-neck look, and I would just reference that and put it back onto the croaky here. How deep you want it is up to you as the designer. Then I'm going to go ahead and start erasing my croaky marks underneath just to look at the garment only. Now, this one was made with my customized croaky according to my body shapes. So the proportion is going to look a little bit different from that. Then I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, folding it down the center. And you can see here that actually even my traced marks show up on this paper underneath from the other style. So as we're tracing, that kind of works almost like a carbon copy in a way. So actually I'm not going to trace over this line underneath to this side because it's as if the fabric is covering it up. And I can always reference that original sketch again if I need to, the surplice top. And I can see, okay, the other side looks slightly different. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that over like that. Those are my two different tops that I've drawn with the tracing method and the referencing method. So the next thing I'm going to do is show drawing the back view. To draw the back view, I'm just going to fold the paper upward, and I'm going to be drawing on the back side of the paper. I'll end up cutting the paper across anyways, but if you want, you could also use a separate piece of paper. Now, when we're drawing the back view, we're basically going to be drawing the exact same as the front on the outer lines. Now, the things that could change on the back view would for sure be the neckline, the hemline. Other things that could change would be seams or design lines. So I am going to go ahead and keep a similar collar, but generally the back collar doesn't dip down, but instead it usually comes up a little bit. So instead of going down, it usually comes up like that. I do need to have some sort of darts to get that funnel neckline. So I'm gonna keep that from the front, and I'm gonna add a center back seam back here. And that's gonna just help with the amount of consumption. That means the amount of fabric that this style is going to require. I also want to have a slightly longer back, so I'm going to make it slightly longer, but the side seam has to be the same length. So it's going to have more of a dip in the back for the length, a little bit more dropped. And any other design lines that I might want to do, maybe I might add a design line here. Then I go through those same exact processes that I did with the front of mirroring the front, or mirroring the other side of the sketch to draw in the back. And again, if this is for professional use, like a portfolio, you're definitely going to want to try to use those French curves and rulers to make sure those lines are nice and crisp. So that is my back view. And I'll go ahead and cut those pieces apart so we can compare the front and the back next to each other. So there we have the front and the back. So what's really important between the front and the back sketches is that any sort of seams would match up between the front and the back if we had any horizontal design lines. We'll get more into that as we go along in the fashion design book. Now, as far as the internal design lines go, this is really up to you whether or not you want to copy or design your own. I really highly recommend that you're designing your own design lines in this process and help define your own design aesthetic. I'm hosting a flat garment sketch challenge on social media. I want you to do your homework for today, which is to create your own unique design with the fashion design book. Upload your photo and hashtag flat sketch challenge and hashtag the fashion design book. 2 hashtags there. I'm going to be reviewing all of the photos that you post to see where you're at in this process. I can't wait to see your progress. The winner will get the complete bundle of the books, including the printed fashion design book signed by me, the Illustrator version of the book that you can use in Adobe Illustrator, and the PDF version where you can print out the pages and use them as you wish. You can also use that PDF version in Procreate on your tablet. Beyond that, I'm going to be offering you a 30-minute Zoom call with me, and we can go through any sort of sketching or rendering questions that you might have. So whatever social media platform you use, upload those photos with those hashtags, and I can't wait to see your progress. This is going to be so much fun. To be eligible for this challenge, I need to be able to see that you've used the fashion design book in your sketches. In case you don't have the fashion design book, you can find it on most online book retail stores, including through the link in the description below. I'm Gina Renee, and I teach online pattern making and design courses so that you can design and sew clothes you love that fit. I hope you're enjoying this entire video series linked through the QR codes in the fashion design book. It's an entire course on drawing and rendering for flat garment sketches for fashion design. It's so much fun. If you've enjoyed today's video, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.